in my free time, if I'm sitting in bed next to my wife and we're like trying to enjoy ourselves, the idea of me reading the Tarkov roadmap there is I'd rather stick a hot poker in my eyeball.
I get it. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the progress things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I hate OBS.
We're sorry for if you watched on the YouTube. I guess it would just be the YouTube. I tried to clean cut the audio if you're an audio listener, but on the YouTube, there were a bunch of cuts because OBS kept crashing during last week's recording. We think we have it figured out. So hopefully it'll be nice and clean today.
Dude, all I have been able to do, oh God. So I go to like the little help drop down on the menu on OBS, and it basically just like directs you to the forum. The Discord channel.
Oh, yeah.
So I go into like the Windows Support Discord channel, and I'm like, these are the 4 issues I'm having. The 4 issues I have with OBS are, and they may or may not be connected.
Yep.
They seem to be connected, or at least correlated. Frequently, the stream will go from the bit rate of 6K or whatever, and go blip, 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 down to 0, and then for 20 to 30 seconds it'll be at 0, and then it'll come back and it'll be fine. But no other connection issues. I can be playing a game real time. No connection issues. I can be watching my own stream, blinking on the same stream PC on Google Chrome, saying your stream is down, and see the chat window going FFF. So like clearly it's connected to the internet.
Yep.
Now I understand they're like different connections, but so then there's that issue. And then number 2 is sometimes it crashes as soon as it hits 0, and it doesn't wait 30 seconds. It just hits 0, crashes. The third one is, and the third and fourth are connected, and I have an activity feed and a chat window that are like embedded as plugins. And then the activity feed shows me all the events, people resubbing and donating, whatever. And then there's the chat window. The chat window will go white, completely uninteractable. There's no way to fix it. There's no way to reload it. You literally have to just close OBS, which I can't do during a stream. And then the activity feed won't go white. It'll just freeze.
Oh.
So no more alerts, no more events, and I'll scroll and nothing happens, and none of the buttons are interactable. It's just frozen.
Yeah.
And all of those things are 100 times more likely to happen during the 2 hours that we have the podcast. Like I'll go an entire. I literally went an entire. We were just talking before the stream, before the podcast. I just streamed an entire week. I did have a couple of minor dips in my connection and stuff, which again, the connection stuff could just be like Comcast, whatever. But never had any problems at all. We start the Discord call for OBS, for the podcast, and 10 seconds later, OBS crashes and my stream goes down. And it's like, what? There's
what?
If it was just connection issues, I would again be like, yo, am I getting like DDoS or whatever? Yeah. But the fact that OBS is crashing makes me think that, it's separate. But it has to, and there's only 2 things that we do.
Yeah.
And it's the Discord call, and it's me doing a windowed projector. So I don't know, maybe there's like experts out there. But so I jump into the Discord and I perfectly outline like the bug report.
Oh yeah.
All of the issues. I give them everything. Here's the last 3 crash reports. Here are the last 3 logs. Upload everything. And I'm like, please help. And then like the next message 2 seconds later is someone being like, I can't screenshot OBS. Please help. And then 30 seconds later, they reply to themselves, help, please, help. Like, and it's just a bunch of people that are all like, I have the most important problem. Oh my God, help me now. And it's some, completely
press print screen. Like,
it's such a stupid thing that like they should be Googling before they come, and then my stuff just gets buried.
Yep.
And it's like, okay. Now, one person did end up helping me, and they basically said, okay, go into your Windows settings and turn off hardware accelerated GPU
scaling or whatever.
Yeah, whatever, the hags. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that. Now that was after the podcast last week, and it was like I was just fucking exhausted and frustrated and annoyed. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that tomorrow. I was in bed. I go downstairs, open up Windows, open up the setting, and it's already off. I'm like,
sick. Maybe you should turn it on.
yeah. So then it's like, okay. So, but, and then before the podcast today, I went through and I'm like, updated a bunch of different things, updated OBS. I went and ran in administrator mode, and I like lowered my bit rate to like below a different threshold. I turn off the fucking GPU scheduling shit, like a bunch of stuff. And then it crashes.
30 seconds.
So
into the call.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Tech support. Nice.
Now, what I will say is every other moment of the last week, other than from end of podcast to beginning of podcast,
yeah,
has been fucking radical, dude.
Hell yeah.
And I actually have been like excited for the first time in at least a year. I've been excited to play a game and to stream, and I never would have expected it'd be No Man's Sky.
Bro, I love that game, man. It's been a while since I played it. I loved it when it came out, and then they did some of the big updates, and I played it a little bit again, and they've updated it so much. So much. It's basically an unrecognizable game from when it first came out.
You know, okay, I have to say, I disagree with a lot of what people say, like related to that, because when I played the game, when it first came out,
yeah,
I like rushed in like a week, made it to the center of the galaxy.
Yeah.
I was like one of the first. One of the inner planets I named, and it was like literally like my GitHub URL. I named I named the system that I'm like, this is my mark. You know, and this was 7 fucking years ago.
Yep.
And like the game loop that I did, I went through, it was almost identical to what I just did in the last 50 hours that I played. And just last night, I made it to the second galaxy. But it was like the same thing. Now, there's a lot more added, but a lot of people are like, the game was trash when it came out. And
I loved it when it came out.
I think so much of that is like wanting to bandwagon on like, No Man's Lie. It's so fucking bad. Whatever. They fucking lied to us. And it's like, sure, whatever. I'm not going to have to watch the Internet Historian video on that.
Exactly. Like, there was definitely a combination of things. There were definitely features that were promised that were missing, and there were definitely expectations set that weren't quite there. Like the planets were, it was all this whole procedural thing, and it was going to be, every planet was going to be different. And really, if you jump to like planet to planet, you get like 6 or 7 different types of planets. So I get it, but I definitely think a lot of it was bandwagoning. And I loved it, man. The week it came out, I remember going to my friend's house, bringing my PlayStation, and we like just played for like 12 straight hours.
Oh, you played on PlayStation?
Yeah, dude. I never even made it to the center. On that save, I made it 1 planet away from the center, and I never finished it. I never actually went to the center of the galaxy, but I got 1 planet away. Like I was there, and it was just like, I don't know. It was fun. And then there's so much now with like the base building and the multiplayer and the like third person, or was it first person? I don't remember which one got added. And all the ships and the frigates and the underwater stuff and all the different like the alien ships and stuff like that, the living ships, all that kind of stuff. Dude. Yeah. So what made you hop into it?
Well, so I played Subnautica, and actually I don't even think I talked about that last week at all.
Oh, we did a little bit, yeah, because I was mentioning that Deadly was playing it too.
So basically, I played through Subnautica and like the sequel or whatever, the Below Zero, and it was just like really good.
Yeah,
it's just really fucking good. It's so crazy how you see a little bit of gameplay, you see trailers, you get an idea for like what a game is going to be like. You get a picture in your head.
Yeah.
And then you decide if you're going to play or not based on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with Outer Wilds. And I feel like playing Outer Wilds kind of made me try to think about that differently.
Yeah.
And then playing Subnautica was just a fantastic experience. It was a great game.
Yeah.
Outer Wilds was 10 out of 10. Subnautica, both of them, I think, were 8.5 to 9 out of 10. No Man's Sky, 9 out of 10. And now it's like there's so many verticals in No Man's Sky that you can get into. It's so deep and wide.
Yeah.
That I could easily do this fucking full time, I'm sure, for a year. And I don't know if I will. I'm sure, Diablo's coming out and a whole bunch of other stuff, but dude, the game is just so fucking good. And the more I've been playing it, the more I've been wondering, what the fuck are you hoping for with Star Citizen? What are...
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this has all the fucking things that I envision that you would want to do.
Yeah.
For the most part. What's your vision for what Star Citizen would be?
I mean, the thing is, it's basically take No Man's Sky, make it AAA realistic graphics, and make it an MMO. The goal of it is an MMO. It's if you want to go mining, you hire player people to come guard your mining deposit because pirates are going to come and try and rob you. There's PvP, there's PvE, there's large scale battles, there's the big ships like the frigates, but imagine full of actual players, you know what I mean? 100 people all doing a thing, the EVE Online of it all. It's supposed to be, and anyone who's into Star Citizen is going to start throwing copiums in the chat, but it's supposed to be a fully EVE Online level of player driven economy where resources are scarce, and then because of that, people find they're more inclined to go to more dangerous parts of other systems and other galaxies and mine minerals, and then pirates are attracted there, and then you can go be bounty hunter police. So it's the MMO of it all in something like that, which is the reason Star Citizen could be the best game ever, and most likely the reason Star Citizen will never happen. Because it's trying to be as deep and as wide, but with AAA graphics on one single or maybe 2 or 3 servers that represent everybody playing in the entire world, with a player-driven economy as detailed as EVE Online. It's too good to be. It's the definition of it's too good to be true. But it's what if you can bring yourself back to 12, and remove the cynicism of understanding how the game industry works and feature creep. It's what we want. It's that's it. That's the game. That's the space game. That's the space game.
But
it's probably never going to happen.
It almost seems to me like No Man's Sky is closer to that now.
Oh,
if you could convince fucking Sean, whatever his name is, Sean Murray, if you could convince him to put a few things on the product roadmap for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky would have what you're talking about. Not necessarily the same graphics.
No, yeah.
Or the same, although I think, I personally fucking love No Man's Sky.
I love the vibe of No Man's Sky as well, yeah.
But they already have the freighters.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take too many steps to be able to make it so that you could fly them and have there be multi-station.
Yeah.
It has 18 quintillion planets.
Yeah.
Literally, that isn't isn't me making a funny word. Literally 18 quintillion planets split up between 255 galaxies.
Yeah.
There's a universe where imagine, because it has multiplayer now, but the scale of things and the way it all is, unless you're unless you're stream sniping,
exactly,
which is a thing that both me and One Peg have had fun with recently. Not fun. But unless you're stream sniping or you want to play with your friends, then
I think
the multiplayer is largely irrelevant.
Yeah. And I think that's the crux of it, is that I agree with you, with a few features, with a few like product features, you'd get pretty close to like that experience. It's just it's the multiplayer of it. It's the world is almost too big. You know what I mean?
Well, so think about though, if you had a system that had 7 or 8 planets in it, and you said this system, especially maybe even if it was like a content creator that went through and they made their own, you know how like sometimes they have their own servers on Rust or whatever.
Can you mod No Man's Sky?
You can mod the fuck out of No Man's Sky.
Because if so, I really agree with you. Like somebody could mod something with like 20 or 30 planets, and the thing is if you could fit a few hundred players on a server, like or more even, depending, like you really could. You know what I mean?
I don't know how they handle server stuff, but like presumably, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see any reason for if I had everybody on my stream right now, I said, here's the portal coordinates, come meet at this place.
Yeah.
I don't know that there wouldn't be any reason why you couldn't have 100 people there.
Yeah, true. I have no idea what that's like, what like the back end of that is, like how many people are on a specific server instance or X, Y, or Z. But yeah, I mean, No Man's Sky is sick. It's a really good game, and a lot of people in the Star Citizen community, like love No Man's Sky. I think Star Citizens, just aims to be the MMO, the more economy driven. It's got some Tarkov aspects to it where you like lose everything you have on you if you die. It's got like DayZ aspects of it, of like you can go find your dead body. It's got like...
You saying Star Citizen, or are you saying...
Star Citizen, yeah.
Yeah, No Man's Sky has both of those too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you lose the stuff. I guess, yeah.
So you lose the stuff if you die before you're able to get back to your body.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. I didn't realize, first of all, that there was like a multiplayer button off. You just turn off. I didn't realize that. I just had whatever the default settings were. And I'm sitting there on a planet doing my thing, like the second or third day I'm playing the game.
Yeah.
And I'm mining underground, and all of a sudden, damage, and I'm dead. Like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? Like, that's crazy. I'm like, I don't even know what happens when you die.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck happens when you die in this game? And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, let's respawn. And I respawn 20 feet to the left next to my ship, which is where, like, the last time I saved. And I look up, and there's a ship staring at me. There's no player indicator. There's no...
Yeah.
And I just... And I'm dead again. Like, what the fuck? And I respawn, I'm dead again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then somebody was like, yeah, that's a player. And I didn't realize until afterwards that I went into the VOD and I saw like the person's name like has entered your system or whatever. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then like later on I was in like the space station, and like they flew up to me and they were just doing like the emote to like laugh.
Yeah.
Like point and laugh, and it was like, wow, holy shit. Like, you know that they've
So
had one
cool.
too many heads shoved in a toilet this week
Yeah.
in school or something, that they have to come and take it out. And then it was the same person who did it to One Peg like 3 days later.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure they just sit in like the Twitch
It's
directory,
unreal, yeah.
and talk shit to people that they could win in PvP against people who don't even know there's PvP.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even think that I would ever see a player.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'm better than you because I killed you. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, sick. I've got the starter ship. You know, I'm sitting here fucking figuring out how to use my mining tool, you know, like anyway. But yeah, so
yeah, no.
It has a lot of those same elements.
It's a great game for sure.
So I can see a bunch of people getting together and saying like this one little tiny slice is like the system that we're going to be, and then all they would need to do is make some more tweaks to the economy, because there are economy systems built in about buying low, selling high, pirated goods, all kinds of stuff. It's just usually inter-system.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like No Man's Sky is closer.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Than Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Although Star Citizen, I will say that my short time playing the ships.
Yeah. And
that
that's
was a whole other like level.
Yeah, that's the thing is that like once again, like the true difference is the MMO of it all, because like everything is dependent on other people in Star Citizen, whereas like currently, and like you were saying, like things could be changed in No Man's Sky to make it more intra-player dependent, but like the systems, like there's bounty hunting and there's piracy and there's mining goods and there's cargo hauling, and all these things are also interplayer dependent. And then there's jail, so you can commit crimes, and then there's actual risk reward for those crimes. You go to jail, you have to spend a certain amount of time doing that. You can have a crime stat and trigger a PvP bounty where I literally chase you around the system and kill you, and I get rewarded for cash, money, what to spend your money on. There's all the ships, and then you meet. So the whole thing is dependent on players and the entire player-driven economy. And then on the flip side of that, you have the hand-drawnness of the assets, right? Like the ships are truly like remarkable works of art because they're done by hand. And what they're trying to do, a mixture of procedural generation and work on like planets and bunkers and derelict outposts and things floating around in space. They're trying to find this balance where they populate the world with things that are like a mixture of procedurally generated and hand-drawn, and you just get like a really interesting experience. And so
is there base building?
There's not base building. There will be like a kind of version of that where like habs and like stuff like that. I think there is actually eventually going to be farming. That's like so long from now though. There's a ship that's supposed to come out that is like a deployable 3D printer to build like housing and stuff like that on planets, and there's going to be lots, and you're going to be able to have player housing in the big cities. But that's so far away. But like the big thing that's holding them up right now is like Star Citizen has been like, so you know how like unplayable Tarkov was the first like 2 weeks of this wipe? Like Star Citizen has been like that for 3 months. Like
really?
Just unplayable. And it's because they introduced their persistent entity streaming tech, which is like they're trying to separate every layer of information from the server and create them in a redundant way that's safe, so that one day they can spool up all these servers, and if one server goes down, it's okay because all the information is on all these different layers. And so a layer,
they got all the redundancy.
Exactly. And so they've persistence entity streaming. So, you know, fly to a planet, put a water bottle down, it just is there forever. Like it just, and now they're having to work with like density management, and things too many things are on the servers. And so the servers are shutting down, especially with like AI. So they're having to like write different rules for what happens to AI. Their bodies might disappear, their gear might disappear, but then player driven stuff and like even ships. So now what you can do in they did the first tier of salvage, which are ships that literally scrape broken ships for their materials, break them down, and then salvage that. So they added their first salvage ship. So now you can like
space shipbreaker.
Yeah. So now you can go to like if a PvP battle happened out in space, all of those busted ships are still there. So you can go out with your salvage ship, and like if there was any cargo in the back of those ships, you can take it, put it in your ship, you can strip the ships and stuff like that. And then that's another way that generates more PvP because more people might come there to do that. And if you come with your salvage ship and bodyguards, they're going to start shooting at the other salvage ships, shooing them away. And it's just like a never-ending emergent gameplay where like things that you do affect the world, which spawns more things for people to do, which affect the world. But they're really struggling with that tech and how the servers.
Yeah.
So it's like working, but it's just like broken at the same time. So yeah.
Dude, I'm super impressed with the way that No Man's Sky has managed to make it so that you're in the biggest universe in video games ever. That there probably will ever
be. Yeah.
And it's all persistent, and now there are some things that aren't like persistent, you know, like if you go and you dig a shallow hole on one planet, like chances are I don't think that like persists unless it's within like a certain distance of like your fort or whatever. But the fact that they can do all of this stuff with all these different people, all these different planets, and you can be on a hardcore totally limited resources, one life only playthrough right next to somebody who's on a creative mode. No, no fucking PvP,
no rules,
no PvE, like super easy, almost unlimited resources.
Yeah.
While also next to somebody playing a normal playthrough with 20 mods installed, and it's like all in the same universe. I'm just like, the engineer in me is going like, damn,
I don't know how they instance it, but that's, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, No Man's Sky has been rad. I'm playing that a bunch, and
that's dope.
We'll see what happens, but I've been enjoying it. I'm at 980 million units.
Damn.
I'm trying to get up to the billion.
The Billy.
It literally give me 20 more minutes before the podcast, and I would have hit a billion.
Billionaire. That's so funny.
But,
that's so great.
And I literally I've only spent like an hour base building. I haven't done anything with the freighter system. I haven't done anything with mining.
There's
there's all the mining resources, and like the satisfactory kind of like you put the mining machines, piping them into these things that you can teleport to your freighter, and then also the freighter stuff is probably the least interesting to me, but it might be something I get into. I'm sure I'm not fully grasping what's all involved in it, but basically when you buy a freighter, which is like, the fucking Star Commander, Emperor
ship,
Palpatine ship, like the massive things, you can buy those. And you have a whole crew and all these frigates that are these massive other ships that are like a part of your fleet. You can basically go and be like a commander of a fleet and say, these 3 frigates, I want to go over, do this mission over here. Let me give them all the fuel, all the resources that they need. And they basically do like mini missions. Asynchronously, like while you're playing the game normally. So I don't know what that entails, right? Is that going to be tens of millions of units you're going to be getting back?
Or I don't know.
Are they going to go die out there and you're going to have to go? I have no idea. But yeah, that's, I don't know. Seems like another interesting thing. There's just so much. There's just so much I haven't even gotten
to the
into.
game. It's dope. It's a great game. I miss it.
And it is May the 4th. May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you. Yes.
Indeed.
Perfect day to talk about space games.
Yeah. So what's the dealio? You rated me yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
And someone said something along the lines of like, has he got a story for you? And I don't know if there's something in particular that happened with like Tarkov or. Did you like play Tarkov for a bit and then like were they like fuck this and then went and go play like Rust or something?
No, I did do a day where I played some DayZ and that went terribly. But it was kind of my own fault. But I don't even think that might have been the day. I don't know. It was probably because I think it was yesterday. So it was probably the big thing this week was the roadmap, which we'll get to, but what probably was they were talking about was I gamed with Valiant yesterday, and he was like, you may have heard this, but maybe not. He was like, yo, okay, I've heard this thing. I've heard that if you spawn in on an interchange raid, which is 40 minutes long, the raid timer is 40 minutes long, at exactly 38 minutes, if you don't get packet loss, Killa's in the raid. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, the theory is bosses spawn at the beginning of the raids. And if they spawn, it won't spawn a second wave of scavs in right away. It waits a little bit longer if a boss is on the map. Mm-hmm. But if the boss isn't on the map and it does spawn them in, it is 100% guaranteed you will get the packet loss symbol when it's spawning them in.
Extremely likely.
and it works, bro. And it works. And like, so we went on Streets and we tested it on Streets because he had been testing it on Interchange and it was working. So we tested it on Streets, which was also that's a 50 minute, that might be a 40 minute. I think that's a 50-minute timer. And at 48 minutes, it was the same thing. We were like, oh, no packet loss. We checked for Killa. Killa wasn't there. We were like, well, maybe Gluhar's here. Gluhar was there. And we killed him. And so then we went back in. The 48 minutes, no packet loss. And we were like, oh, maybe it isn't true. Surely not back to back. The bosses spawned so little. Killa was there. He kills Killa. We go back in. We get the packet loss. No boss. We go back in. We get the packet loss. No boss. And it's just like, and then later that day I saw like a TikTok of Tiggs doing it. And like, that's how kilo farmers are farming interchange now. They spawn, you sit and wait for 2 minutes. And if you don't get packet loss, or if you get the packet loss, you just leave. And
you know how BSG fixes this?
I don't know.
They don't show the packet loss indicator anymore.
But that's what they used to do. That was like, we used to not see the packet loss indicator.
And we didn't know that we didn't know how bad the packet
loss was. Yeah, everyone's. I know that's so funny. People have always been like, dude, the packet loss is so bad recently. I'm like, no, you just see it. Like it was always this bad.
Yep.
You just see it now. So that was probably what they were talking about, because we were just like, we were testing that all day on like the maps, and I was like, damn. I was like, I might go for like Sturman too if I can like no guarantee and know he's there. It's so scuffed, bro. Game is scuffed. Why
is there packet loss when they like?
I mean, packet loss is probably not the right term. Like that little.
But you see the packet loss indicator.
Yeah, that could like, I don't know if that's just like a general network or any sort of error. If any error happens at all ever, then I don't know, but everyone calls it the packet loss indicator. Maybe that's because it is what it is, but it
doesn't. I think it says lost, doesn't it?
Not anymore. It's just the little indicator. Sometimes a number will come up if like your ping is crazy or if something else is happening, but
gotcha.
These days it just shows the little, I don't even know what icon it is, but it just shows that. But it's crazy. It's just insane. But the big thing that happened last week is, of course, we should expect something tomorrow, because of course this happened on Friday. You know, the day after the podcast. They released the roadmap, which I'm sure you've seen. There's no way you haven't been bombarded with. Have you seen the roadmap?
Not a single person.
No, not a single.
Nope.
I can't tell if you're being serious.
I'm being 100% serious.
Really?
No, nobody comes to talk to me about Tarkov anymore.
Damn.
Because I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk about Tarkov.
I was about to say, that's probably like how you like it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I fucking love it.
All right.
I love it. I watched like a little bit of your video.
Okay.
On it. But even then,
well, here it is if you want.
It actually like I can't even describe it. I don't feel good emotions when I think about the Tarkov roadmap for like a million reasons that I don't even need to get into.
I understand.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. But we're gonna get into it.
Oh yeah, I don't mind getting into it.
But yeah.
Just in my free time, if I'm sitting in bed next to my wife and we're like trying to enjoy ourselves, the idea of me reading the Tarkov roadmap there is I'd rather stick a hot poker in my eyeball.
I get it. I really do. Okay. Well, okay. So they released a roadmap and they just tweeted out, they said, a roadmap for the upcoming changes coming to Escape from Tarkov. Super vague. There's no dates anywhere on the roadmap. But it outlines 4 patches. And while a lot of people were like, man, none of this is new information, you'll find that none of it is new information, but this is actually valuable.
Wait, what the fuck did you just send me?
Oh, it's just a weird file format. I don't know why.
Dog, what the fuck? That's the most virus-looking message you've ever sent me. It's a random string of characters .jfif.
.jfif. I don't know what a jfif file is.
Dog, I ain't clicking that.
All right, you don't have to click that.
I've never heard of a JFIF
I can convert it to a PNG if you want.
Oh, it's an image?
Yeah. JFIF.
It's a precursor to JPEG?
Hell yeah, dude.
Older than JPEG, okay.
I literally just right-click downloaded from their Twitter. They tweeted it out. That's it.
Of course, VSG would be
got that JFIF, brother.
Fucking files as JFIF, a format that I've never ever heard of.
Got that JFIF. I guess if I remember, I'll link the.
This is a Bitcoin miner, dude. You know that,
I
right?
hope so. I want some Bitcoin.
Not for
I know.
BSG is doing some like crowdsourced like SETI at home. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they outlined 4 patches. The first patch, the closest patch would be 13.0.5, and they label it as a technical update. Fixes for visual problems with flashlights, the way they function, and lights on weapons. That sentence kind of doesn't really make sense. But fixes for visual problems with flashlights. I'm assuming that means the flashlight bug, which still persists in the game, which is simultaneously my least favorite and favorite bug to ever happen. So I died. Somebody, where was I? I don't remember where I was. It was customs, and in customs, broad daylight, no fog. I kill a guy, and his duo swings me, and I'm staring at the surface of the sun. He had a flashlight, and I instantly was like, I love this bug. Like, it's been so long since I had somebody shine a flashlight in my face, and was reminded of how stupid I think flashlights are integrated into this game. But then at the same time, it just feels so gross to just be like, Valian, there's two guys in that building, because you can just see their flashlights, even though they're off for them, flailing through the walls. You know what I mean? And you're just like, this is so bad. Like, you know what I mean? And then you pre-fire them as they run around the corner and they're level 12, and you're like, damn, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels so gross. So that bug sucks. What I'm hoping that this means, though, is that they're fixing the visual problems with the flashlights, and they're changing the way they function. You know what I mean? Like, they're maybe actually doing a pass on flashlights.
I think part of it wasn't like helmet lights too.
Yeah, which helmet lights are on here somewhere. But we have helmet lights, but you can't toggle them on or off.
Yeah.
And the angle at which they point, I have a screenshot I could find and send to you.
Nonsense.
He put a laser on his helmet, and it was Ben, and then he had a laser on his gun, and like he was looking at the horizon, and the laser was pointed 45 degrees at the ground. But then the laser on his gun, like there was a point where they intersected, and then the one just went straight to the ground, and the one on the gun, he was looking at the horizon. It's like, why? And it does that with flashlights too. It just points straight down. So you have to look up to like flashlight anything. So, and you can't toggle them on or off, which is weird. But so this is the technical update. Fixes for the flashlights. The reworking of sky on all locations. I don't know what that
Didn't
means.
you say last time around though that the skybox, that's probably like the rest of the maps?
Yeah, either the rest of the maps, or they accidentally did what they did and there's more. I don't know what that means. Somebody asked if that could be part of the interchange lighting fix. Theoretically, it could be, right? Because we know that no matter what time of day, it doesn't that doesn't change the amount of light coming through the giant freaking skylights. So maybe that's a part of it. I truly don't know. Oculus audio tweaks on Lighthouse and Interchange. Thank Christ, because Oculus audio isn't great, but Interchange is unplayable to me because it's still the only map. Like Lighthouse, you can kind of get away with it because the only it's really just
all outdoors.
Yeah, it's really just the two chalets and then the water treatment plant. You know what I mean? And that close, you kind of know where people are anyway. Interchange is literally the entire map, 3 floors of all meaningless sound. So that's really good. Changes in the headset system. Don't know what that means.
That's scary.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. I think in general, we've talked a bit before about how like everything is just so loud. And so I wonder if they're adjusting how far away the headsets allow you to hear and what the volume, how it's being boosted. I don't know. It'd be interested to see. But
I wonder if they're going to make it so that the reason why the headsets are super OP is because it has all of the benefits of like what you get from when you wear them in real life, but none of the drawbacks.
Yes.
And it's because seemingly they implemented it more complicated than it needed to be.
Yeah.
As if they were like future technology.
Yeah.
Like when I had these are the fucking Walker's
Walker's
Razor. Yeah. When I wear these, I mean, I could hear a mouse's footsteps on the other side of the room behind me, but I also hear the of my computer fans. And, you know, like it's so all of the ambience is significantly louder, obviously, because what it's doing is it's just compressing all the quiet stuff. It's making it bringing the floor of that up way, way high. And then the ceiling, it brings way down. So it's much less dynamic range. In Tarkov, what it does is it says, oh, all of the things that you would want to be louder, we're going to make louder. And the things that you wouldn't want to make louder, we're going to make softer. Which is like you can have your cake and eat it too, but that's just not how...
The literal ambient noise of the map goes away. The rain gets quieter.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember the first day I wore those, it blew my mind because it was like, I put them on in the range, and the first thing I could notice was, first of all, that I could just have a simple, like, conversation with I had a conversation with my dad. He had normal headphones on, and he was like, yeah, I can't hear, you know, what are you? Because you hear a pop, 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 and he's like screaming over it. And I'm just like, you don't need to yell. Like, I can hear you perfectly fine. So you can have obviously you protect your ears, but you have like normal volume conversation. But all of a sudden, the thing that stuck out to me was I could hear running water. Like a babbling brook. And it was like, is there like one of those like Zen fountain, like, and I realized all the way at the end they have the water trickling down on the backstop to keep it cool. And I realized I like zoom in with my eyes and I'm like, holy shit, there's like a little running water stream I never noticed that the backstop had running water, you know. And it's like, fuck. That was like information I got with my ears that I wouldn't have gotten without the headphones. You know?
But that stuff goes away in Tarkov when you turn on. So yeah. So yeah. Obviously there's a little bit of like worry that there's a little bit of a worry that they're gonna break something that's maybe it's overpowered but not broken. So people are worried they're gonna break something that's not broken. But I definitely have hopes that they do make some adjustments, because I do think that the headsets are a little overpowered. And just in general, we've talked many times about how just loud everything is that the player does. And a large part of that is because if you've been playing Tarkov for any amount of time, you permanently have headphones on, So
imagine how different the game would be if everybody, like nobody had headphones. I wonder how different the gameplay. I think so much more often than you do now, you'd roll up and get surprised by somebody who's already like danger close.
For sure.
Whereas before you're like, I hear someone coming from the next state over and I'm prepared, and you either sit in camp and wait or you aggro them or whatever. I feel like it'd be, and that would also help the whole you can never sneak anymore.
Exactly.
I would love it if because if they went and they made the headphones a little bit more realistic in that way and the ambience got much louder. I wonder if I bet you a lot of people just wouldn't wear the headphones. All you're doing is turning the volume up. And then compressing it, which you can do in post today.
So very interesting. Very interesting. So I don't know. So changes in the headset system. Changes in the AI voice line playback system, in particular, their frequency, volume, and positioning. I don't really know what that is. Some people think that refers to the fact that like a scav will almost always yell before he shoots you, which I think is kind of fine because most of the time in the game, they're going to hit you in the face. So them yelling gives me a second to run away.
And they respond to like grenades too.
Yeah, that's true. From like anywhere, like if you spawn on factory and you throw a grenade at your own feet, no matter where you are, Tagilla will respond. Like the map is small enough and their voice line range is wide enough. So that might be it too, which is a little broken for sure. Me and Valiant were talking about that. Like apparently they made Killa. He only has like a 50-50 chance to respond to a grenade because people were farming it. And he was like, that's so dumb. Like they should respond to grenades. And I was like, that's not what's dumb. What's dumb is that the AI was so dumb that the only way to effectively fight him was to abuse that mechanic. Them fixing that, he shouldn't always react to grenades, but he should be good AI. And if he's not good AI, they should allow us some method. So like, it's dumb, but it's not dumb for the like, you know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, you're right. It's like the AI should be better and then more dynamic like this, where he doesn't always yell at grenades and maybe he sneaks around, like, but it has to start with Killa not being a broken mess. Like, dude, you know Killa's bad when like Desmond, I was playing with Desmond, okay, and he's like kind of passively Killa farming. So Killa was on straights and he was like, I'm gonna get him. I was like, cool. And he was like literally, Jesse, he was like, just listen to me. I know what Killa's gonna do. Just do what I say. And then like Killa, he pulled aggro. Killa aggroed me instead of him, and he was like, run. And I like ran and I like juked Killa and I closed myself. And then he shot Killa again and pulled. And Desmond was with a 308 Scar, I believe. So with like M80, M62. Desmond ran into a room in Pinewood on streets, closed the door behind him because he knows Killa's AI is just basically, at this point, Killa's just going to chase him down. Desmond is prone with the door closed, aiming at the door. Killa phases through the door, back out of the door opens, bop, 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 3 shots to the face, Killa still one-taps him. And I'm like, if Desmond can't abuse this guy's mechanics, he's broken. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the best. He's one of the best players in the world. He did everything right. Minimize recoil, maximize angle on Killa, pre-fired him, and Killa one-taps him. And it's like, now he had hurt Killa so bad, Killa ran to heal, and I killed Killa, but I was like, I don't feel good about that kill. Desmond did all the work.
Jesse better than Desmond, confirmed.
Yeah. So, like, it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. The other thing, fixes for the incorrect sound and volume of gunshots and explosions at short distances. That's when I didn't necessarily realize that there were incorrect sound and volume of some of those gunshots. So
it should be long distances, then it would make sense to me.
It could be a bug where I think we talked about this bug. There's a bug where, so like there's on semi-auto guns, you remember they added the cap, the click cap, like you can't click so fast. There's a bug where, so if you have an RSAS and you're clicking as fast as you can in a panic, you're only shooting as fast as the gun will let you. On my client, every click is a gunshot. So it sounds like you're full autoing or macroing your RSAS. I have a clip of Desmond was running an RSAS, and I have the clip from Sealable's stream. And they were fighting the goons, and Desmond was like, brother. And we were like, brother, how, like, you're macroing? And then you look at Desmond's clip, and it's like, pop, 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 pop. It's crazy.
Well, is there a chance? Was he actually clicking as fast as he was shooting on the other screen, or was
it probably?
Or was it like
it was like slow enough that somebody could click that fast? So the theory is that it's not like the old bug back in the day where like somebody would full auto and you'd kill them and the full auto would just stay playing for forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, like I wonder if the audio is duplicated or whatever.
But either way, there's a bug where not on your client. If you're the one with the RSAS, that's not on your client. It's on everybody else's client. It sounds like that, which is crazy because there are people that cheat and use like macros or use cheats for like full auto SVDs and full auto RSASs and stuff like that. And that it would be to a random person that would be indiscernible, right? You wouldn't know like, oh, that could be the bug, right? You'd just be like, that dude's cheating. So that's the thing. So maybe that's like part of it. And then the last one on this is hilarious because like I can't count how many times I've seen this. Fixes for the incorrect movement of bots in the prone position. I'm just like, how many times have we seen? How many times?
You know, it's weird. They keep forgetting to remove that from the patch notes.
Yeah, dude.
They copy paste the patch notes from the last time and they forget to remove
They always
half the
forget
shit.
the last. That and fixes for the memory leaks. Those are the two that are always there. So that was the first patch outlined on the roadmap. Relatively small patch, and they labeled it as such. Technical update. There are some kind of curveballs in there where like changes to the headset system and rework of the skyboxes on all locations. Like that kind of leads to believe that this patch is a little bit more than just like a let's deploy this technical patch ASAP to fix the flashlight bug. And then the wording of the flashlight thing is a little interesting. It kind of sounds like they're doing a little bit more work than just fixing that bug. So it's hard to tell if this patch is like days away or weeks away, right? I have no idea. The second patch is literally just the transition to Unity 2021. That's it. There's no other patch notes there. Once again, no dates. That's not even a named patch, because the first one is update 13.0.5 and then just transition to Unity 2021. And then 13.1 is the, once again, it's called another technical update, which is interesting. And this is like basically everything they talked about that is coming as a result of Unity 2021. Fundamental changes to the architecture of the display and synchronization of players on the client and their connection to the server, including the gradual increase in the number of players and bots in the raid to 60, improving hit registration.
Wait, players and bots?
Yeah, dude.
That's an additional caveat that was never. They've always said PMCs, and all of a sudden it's like players and bots.
No,
it's like, okay, well now
I don't know. I don't know what to say there. Not only has he said PMCs in the not only on the podcast did he say PMCs, but he was actually explicitly questioned, do you mean players and player scavs? And he looked into the camera and said, no, 60 PMCs. And then they put on the freaking thing, number of players and bots in a raid to 60. So I just don't know how to answer that question. I don't know. The answer is potato. That's it. That's it. We're just going to wait and see. Like it's
they're doing everything they can to give the impression of moving the goalposts without.
It is as if they are doing everything in their power to be as explicitly confusing as possible. It is truly mind-blowing. I don't know. Improve hit registration, increasing the accuracy of position matching of players on the server and the client. Noticeable increase in FPS in online raids, reducing the chance of encountering the desynchronization with the server, network traffic optimizations. There's a new culling system on the old locations, because I think they said that they had already implemented that on like streets, and maybe Lighthouse or something. I don't know. Optimizing RAM consumption, including the elimination of possible memory leaks, and optimizing the render system for semi-transparent materials.
So it's probably like we're gonna fix the glasses bug that we've had for a million years.
I hope so. There's that. There's all sorts of weird stuff with glass, man. Where Desmond will shoot a window in front of me. I'll see the glass pieces fall to the ground. He'll jump out the window, and I can't jump out the window because the window is still there, and I have to shoot it again. There's a bug on streets where certain places in like some of the train cars that are in the middle of the road, if you lean a certain way, the glass disappears. Like your sight picture just gets clear, and it's like, and then it comes.
I've seen that on reserve.
It's on reserve. So like there's lots of weird stuff with glass, the glasses and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that,
so okay. The fundamental changes to the architecture of display and synchronization of players is one bullet point. Then there's reduce the chance of encountering desync. And then another one is increase the accuracy of positions of the players on the server.
Well, that
to me seems like three different ways of saying the same thing.
Well, yeah. So he's saying it's saying that this patch is fundamental changes to the architecture of display of the players, the client, and the servers,
that's
including like basically this is what you should see as a result of those things.
They should have put fundamental changes to the architecture of display and synchronization of players on the client and their connection to the server, including changing the architecture of display and synchronization of players, synchronization of players on the client, synchronization of players on the client and their connection to the server, as well as the fundamental changes to the architecture of display.
Yeah, naturally.
Oh, God.
Now, this is like... So this is it, right? This is it.
That's the most important thing ever in the history of...
That is the most important patch ever.
Tarkov lives or dies based on that.
That's what I'm getting at. That is exactly what I was getting at. If this now that doesn't mean, and I think you would agree, that doesn't mean that when this patch drops there are no bugs, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, because Nikita was pretty clear as he could be, that like this is a result of them basically doing the meme which is like, let's rebuild the game. Like, not all of it, but they're basically going in and cutting out and taking the plate of spaghetti and throwing it into the trash because they have a new system and that they've spent, I don't know how long working on. They've spent a lot of time, whatever. But he has stated that like this was a huge undertaking, and this is basically the meme. So connecting this to all of the systems in the game that are still in their own right pretty spaghetti is a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that this Tarkov lives or dies by how this runs on day one.
Yeah, no,
but
for sure.
6 months, 3, 4, 5, 6 months into this patch being fully integrated and them having time to fix it, Tarkov lives or dies by this patch, by 13.1.
If we still have the desync, if they still have the desync, then they'll never not have desync.
Exactly. If we still die 2 seconds behind cover, if we still get ginormous frame rate dips, if you still can't run freaking customs at higher than 70 FPS on a modern machine, after this patch is fully integrated and worked out, it's never going to get better. This is it, which is exciting and terrifying. This is exactly what we wanted them to do for so long, right? And the way he made it sound is that this is something they've been working on for a while. That's not like they've started doing this. They are finishing it up and they're working on it. But like we have said countless times on this podcast that all of the cool features in the world mean nothing if the player can't trust what they hear, trust what they see. A lot of people responded to any tweet about this and said, no mention of cheaters, rip, which I'm
sure they're going to stop.
Yeah, I actually understand that because people don't understand how this is working, and I can't necessarily expect them to be as invested in Tarkov as I am. If you are as invested as I am, you'll know that like basically what Nikita said on the podcast was that these changes to how they're restructuring the netcode, what information is on the client, what information is on the server, and how those things are communicated. Basically what he said is that's going to be one of their single greatest leaps in anti-cheat, because the way a lot of cheats are developed take advantage of the spaghetti code or take advantage of just a less than optimal way the code was written originally. So by rewriting it very aware of how people cheat in their game. So he said that on the podcast. They didn't list that here as it will be. And it's full copium, right? I'm not saying it will 100% be successful. I'm saying that this is also anti-cheat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And another thing worth mentioning there too is that like the way the game is now, the spaghetti code allows the cheaters to hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
There is no how many times have we said that there's no way to tell if there's a cheater or if it's desync?
Such a good point. Yep.
Well, now if desync is gone,
yeah,
or obviously asterisk, but but now if you're dying behind a wall, it's much more likely the person was shooting you through a wall or ricocheting bullets around corners and all kinds of other shit, right?
Yes. Like in normal games when you play and you can feel something is sus. You're like, he shot me through a wall or he wallbanged me and he couldn't. But in this game, you can, I always go back to that clip with Vibin where I was like, cheater, dude. And then you see his clip and he slow leans around the corner and shoots me in the head. And I'm like, he just wasn't even on my screen. And you're just like, so yeah, that's such a good point. That's such a good point that this game has beaten doubt into every circumstance and just not knowing if it was suspicious or not. So not only do they get to hijack the vulnerabilities of the code, but they get to hide in plain sight. And so few people report because in the back of their mind, they go, could have been desync, could have been hit reg, could have been
or
this.
Everybody reports all the time.
Yeah, or you get the people that mass report because they don't accept those things, and their reports don't get seen because they mass report everybody. So this is it. Like, this is everything. The only audio isn't on here as an explicit thing. They said that they're working on Oculus in the previous technical patch, and I'm sure that that's something that they'll basically, when on the podcast, they said that that's just, they're going to continue to iterate on that and try all those things. But this is it, man. This is everything. This is optimizing the game, giving us more FPS, reducing the desync, reworking the netcode, reworking the network infrastructure, hopefully like making it much harder for people to cheat, making the people who do cheat much easier to catch. Like this, yeah, this is it. So it's terrifying, but God, I hope it works. Now, we'll come back to another reason why I think this road wrap was good when we roll through the 14.0 stuff. But the next patch here is patch 14.0, and this is labeled content update. And in this, we're supposed to get the Streets of Tarkov expansion, the BTR on Streets, new boss for Streets, vaulting, the armored plates for body armor and the rework of the hitboxes, full kit presets, weapon animations when interacting with cover. I don't know if that's just a long way of saying the new blind fire animations or not.
Didn't they also say mounting? Not mounting, but like...
That's coming later on. Well, yeah. That's actually later on this list. But it could be like high ready. Like if you run into a wall, like in ready or not, depending on how you run into a wall, the gun will go up or down, and that kind of helps. I don't know.
Yeah.
Left shoulder shooting, hideout expansion, randomized loot containers, rework of the recoil mechanics of all weapon types, quick pistol transition, suppressor durability, sound variations, subsonic ammunition, ammunition loading interface, sight brightness adjustments, the UI rework, quest rebalance, rebalancing of levels, skills, and mastering, bipods and stabilizing firearms with cover, choosing which body part to heal via hotkey, helmet flashlight, which I'm assuming means rework because we have them, meds, food consumption upon double click, praise God, the new weapons, and other.
They should have. I really wish it was 14.0.0 content update. Seasons 3 and 4 of Chronicles of Rigi, and then nothing else. And then nothing else.
Raid Season 2.
Yeah. Raid Season 2. Behind the scenes director's cut DVD for sale on
oh my God, bro. Oh my God.
Only $29.99 if you purchase the OD.
Yeah. Now, the thing I'm the most excited about is the meds and food consumption upon double click, because I'm always a hungry guy. And if you're also a hungry guy, you should use this week's sponsor. I couldn't think of a better
Nom nom nom.
I couldn't think of a better transition. I do want to take a second and thank the sponsor for this week's episode before we dive into the content update. That was just as cringy as possible. That's kind of what I was going for. But thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for supporting us and getting us to this position. But a huge thank you to Factor. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. It can help you fuel up fast with ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and tackle everything on your to-do list. We've been sponsored by Factor before. We've gotten some Factor boxes. We've eaten their food. We've drank their smoothies. And so it's a really cool system where the big thing here is they're ready-to-eat meals. All you got to do is heat them up, which is awesome for guys like us that are just in our offices all day long gaming. The big thing for me about these things is convenience. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not like trying to cancel a gym membership or anything. Everything is convenient. You can pause a week if you want to. You can pick right back up the next week. You can reduce the amount of meals you get this week to save money, or because you're doing something, or maybe you're going out this weekend, you can increase the amount of meals next week. The convenience factor of there are meals that are under 550 calories per serving. They have a protein plus section that has over 30 grams of protein per serving. They have keto options. They have all sorts of stuff. So the convenience is insane. There's 34 chef prepared, dietitian approved weekly options. So not only do you get all that convenience, but it's not like you're stuck with like there's 4 different things to choose from. They have 34 different meals to pick from every single week. So it's kind of just like super easy, super convenient, super delicious. It's just good.
Yeah, and anytime you can have something that I like and my wife likes, that's also healthy.
Yeah.
That's also convenient is basically impossible.
Yeah. It kind of hits all the things of healthy too, because not only is it actually real food, like, you know what I mean? but it's also like the portions are a big thing. The portions were a big concern of mine with stuff like that because like but the thing is I tend to overeat because I feel like I need more than I do. So the portions were enough that I always felt full. You know what I mean? Even if when I heated it up, I was like, this isn't going to be enough, but it was. So not only is it actually real food, but you end up eating a more appropriate amount of food at your meal, which was pretty nice as well. So it's awesome. You can head to factormeals.com/pogcast40 and use code pogcast40 to get 40% off your first box. That is pogcast40 at factormeals.com/pogcast40 to get 40% off your first box. Huge thank you to Factor for sponsoring this episode of the podcast.
Indeed.
Indubitably. Okay, so 14.0 content update, all those things. Here's where the bear with me on the not necessarily tinfoil hat, but I've got the whiteboard and I'm connecting with the red, it's the meme where I'm like that, so it's interesting because on the podcast that they did, they showed us like a bunch of features, right? And the general vibe, general drop, because of every other podcast they've done, like every podcast when they show us features, you can tell there's like these 3 are probably coming in the next wipe, and these they were just showing or talking about they're coming eventually, right? Okay, soon TM. Everything that they talked about, including the things that seems to be omega far away, and including the things that seems to be basically ready for the next wipe, were all listed in this patch, which either means they're all the things we thought that were super far away are ready earlier than we thought, or it has to mean the things that seemed really close are just coming way later, right? Which is objectively the more likely scenario, right? I'm not sitting here saying we're getting all this by summer. I'm saying I found that to be interesting because some of the features seemed like they were showing them off as if they were ready to be put in the game. And this stuff came in with for example, shoulder swapping, bipods, and stabilizing firearms with cover, and maybe even vaulting. That kind of stuff seemed because he was so about the vaulting, he was it's not ready. That stuff seemed in a few wipes, right? But the user interface rework, I thought we were going to get that the next wipe.
Yeah.
That seemed ready. You know what I mean? So and another suppressor durability, sound variation, subsonic ammunition. I knew that those were confirmed features, but I was way later, right? So the fact that is in the same patch with the user interface rework and the hideout expansion that they talked about and the streets expansion that he literally said was it's done. We're finishing up the streets expansion. It's a confusing list of features. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I see it seems like 14.0 would have to be at least a year from now. If you just asked me to and again, this is completely, I'm 1% educated on this. But just knowing what I know, I would think that Unity, the different technical updates, including all of the net code and everything like that, you're talking at 6 to 9 months at least.
Yeah.
At least. And then all of the stuff around stabilizing, fixing, addressing, adjusting, whatever, changing in priorities. And then you have the biggest list on all these things after that.
Yeah.
With a million things that are all going to be intertwined and break.
Yeah.
Imagine switching shoulders
100%
with switching shoulders while a fucking gun has a bipod mounted on a thing that you're vaulting over.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
So that has to be at least a year from now.
That, I mean, the way I put it was I was this could be our December wipe, maybe even later, right?
Talking about 14.0?
Yeah, but it literally could be like I really have no idea. But that's what I'm saying.
I think like April wipe,
that's
March
what I'm saying
wipe.
is it's confusing. And I'm not saying that that's not like possible. That's probably very possible. I'm just saying like it's confusing because they did the podcast and they've been tweeting out the Streets expansion pictures and they showed us a bunch of these features. And like he talked about the Streets expansion. He was like, it's basically ready, but it's not like the next expansion isn't that's not bringing Streets to its full, but it's just like this is the first of a few expansions we're going to do to Streets. Those things seemed like they were like so ready to come out. But then like you said, these things are so, there's just so many breakable things in this patch. Like, you know what I mean? Like
they're probably going to drop some of these things in the 14.0 content update. Probably drop a few of them potentially if things are going well early.
Maybe. And
like
that
maybe
would make
they've learned their
lesson
sense and they're going to under promise and over deliver as opposed to doing the opposite.
That would be interesting. That would be super interesting. It would just be weird because at that point, why show the roadmap? So I think the roadmap is good because...
Just shut everybody up saying, we need a roadmap.
Maybe. I think this roadmap is really good because it lets us know the order of operations. Because after the podcast, that last DevCast, you and me talked about it, and I've been saying it ever since. Like, I don't care about vaulting. I don't care about the Streets expansion. All that stuff. I said since the podcast, I said the network stuff he talked about is the most important thing for Tarkov's history. And it's cool to see that that's how their priorities are. All the cool content on the roadmap is after. Now, like you said, they might say, we're a little delayed here. We're going to pull these two features because these are the ones that are the most ready and we're going to put that in because this patch, they might do that. But the fact that the optimizations are more important than the content, like, is what the Twitch chat, the Reddit has been saying for years. Fix the game, right? So, like, the fact that they have it on here, right? Before we get the Streets expansion, before we get all this other cool stuff, they're pushing out this big, giant infrastructure change. And that's good. And this lets us know that, right? That they're doing it before they're putting out any more guns or more anything.
No, they took all the fucking 3D artists and they're training them how to write netcode.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're doing what the Redditors wanted them to do, which is
pull the map designers, pull the modelers,
take all the stunt doubles from
put them all on
Origi episode 17, and they're working on fucking audio.
Yeah. So very interesting flow here. The other thing that I was thinking of is like think about how different PvP is going to feel if the roadmap is to be believed. One day the game is going to be like it is right now, and the next day we're going to have vaulting, shoulder swapping, complete rework of the armor hitboxes, and a complete rework to the recoil system. We're just going to wake up one day and all of those things will be in the game. Like, think about how fundamentally different PvP is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to completely change.
It can't be worse than it is now. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Being able to hold left side angles, being able to vault up on stuff. I lost a crazy fight today because I couldn't make a jump. And I was like, this was the perfect thing that I was like, if I could have vaulted up here, I would have been able to get this guy. Lots of stuff. The recoil rework, who knows what that's going to be like. But yeah, a lot of different stuff in there. And it, once again, we're beaten down by the game, but it is hard for the inner child in me not to get excited about some of this stuff, like the stabilizing firearms, like suppressor durability. Like, I always just think about, like, I've talked about it last week, like the freaking DayZ, you make the suppressor water bottle and you're like, I only have 2 shots with this, right? Like, I'm going to make them count. Like, they're never going to allow us to make suppressors with water bottles, but like thinking about that, like, am I going to put a suppressor on this HK? Because if I mag dump 3 people, it's going to break. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I've wanted shoulder swapping for a really long time. Full kit presets, vaulting, Streets expansion. Like, it is a dense list of content. So
You think they're gonna have like a left hand skill, weapon handling skill, and a right hand weapon?
Yo, probably. Yeah. I'm like equally worried and excited about every single one of these things, right? Like, because I see the potential for them to just be like so broken, but I also see the potential for them to be so good. Like, shoulder swapping could be so sick. Being able to hold off angles would completely change the way PvP is. Like, being able to have the same advantage of a right side on a left side makes the whole game different if you can swap quickly. You know what I mean? If it's like a 14-second, he's got to adjust his underwear, you know what I mean? And then put the gun up, then it's a useless thing that shouldn't even be added to the game. But if it's just like a quick boom, boom, grab, swap, and then I can lean left, sick, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
see, I care less about the leaning and more about the blind fire, honestly. Like,
oh,
imagine being in factory hallway and factory office, and there's somebody on the right stairwell. Like behind
being
the
able
filing
to
cabinet.
Yep. And the new blind fire animations look so much better. They look like an actual closer to a 90-degree blind fire and not like a 40-degree where you kind of had to like be a weird way. You know what I mean? Now, we've said many times I'd love for them to bring back the ability to move while blind firing. That'd be sick. But the blind fire, the weapon animations, mounting weapons, ammunition loading interface, I think that means like a surgery kit, like where you can tab out and it's still happening and you can like load your ammo. I think that would be huge.
I thought, didn't they talk about like being able to custom load mags with like the bullets? How you wanted like alternating?
Yes.
That's what I assumed that was.
I don't know. They talked about an ammo loading thing on the podcast, and then I thought somebody reached out and he was talking about that. But then I watched Nice Guy's video, and apparently Nice Guy reached out and confirmed that this means that. But I don't know. It's all very loose, fast and loose. Quick pistol transition is such a huge quality of life thing for me that completely like changes how viable sidearms are in the game, right? You know what I mean? Especially if you're running something like a Val, right, with a 30-round mag. How many times have you with a gun like the Val that shoots really fast? You know, it's like, oh, 3-man, boom, boom, your spray transfer. The second guy, you run out of ammo. If you still have the power position, that guy's got his pants down, and you've got a 5.7, like real quick, so sick. Like the plays are gonna be so sick. Tons of quality of life. I get so much more frustrated at the UI now that I've seen what the new one's gonna look like. Like when I come back from the Lighthouse Island and I'm selling, I gotta sell these wires to therapists and this to that, and these I should sell on the flea, and this I need to sell to Peacekeeper, and this I want to sell to this person. And I just like thinking of like all I'd have to do is click Peacekeeper, sell this, therapist, sell this, and I'm just like, oh my god. So like
that's what I've been dealing with, because I have been able to picture better UX for every single feature forever. Mm-hmm. So it's like the moment you see what things could be,
it's like when you told me about like, why are you lagging so much? And I'm like, what? And then I could never unsee it. It's like that with the UI now. I saw what it's gonna be, and I can't unsee it, and now I just get so frustrated. So like, so many quality of life stuff. A lot of the stuff on here is like, LOL, okay, bro. You know what I mean? Like rebalance of quests, levels, skills, and mastering. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, there's no information on what that means. I don't know if that, like, there's, like, when I read that, I'm like, that's a coin flip on if this new system is better or worse, right? Like, I don't.
But here's the thing. Before, Nikita has always talked about it, like, they're going to rework the entire system. This is a rebalance.
Yeah.
So that's like, we're going to adjust the rewards, the level requirements, and the order of things.
Yeah.
Which is like, dog, that ain't what you need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's those things will improve.
Yeah, the overall experience, but
like the problem with the quests are numerous, and they aren't the rewards and the order and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the lore, the incentivizing, the communicating, the information, the fact that like, dude, oh my god, I've seen 3 separate videos about 3 different video games. Actually, 2 of them were like video essays. One of them was Asmongold responding to like a Diablo video or a Path of Exile or something, where I've heard if you have to use a wiki to play a game, you're fucking doing it wrong.
Yeah.
3 different times in the last week, I've seen videos where 3 different people have, and I'm like, oh, ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
And you need a wiki for this game. You need a wiki. You need an ammo chart. You need maps. You need a
playlist of videos from the top creators explaining a bunch of the other things.
You need a tracker to tell where certain bosses are. A separate tracker, community-driven tracker to see where the bosses are. Like, yeah.
Wow.
So, but, big but. If you take it at face value and you say, hey, they've been communicating much better recently. They've been communicating much more. They've been communicating more things that they don't normally communicate about, like super small changes. The podcast that they did was much more transparent. The podcast that they did, they spent the majority of it talking about the actual things that we have wanted in the game. Then they released this roadmap, which literally lines out that they want to do the most important things first, then add content later.
Mm-hmm.
On some level, I'm like, okay, sick. There's, of course, a huge part of me that's, I'll believe it when I see it, and this all could be a year away. But I've been battling with, a lot of people. I retweeted this roadmap, and I was like, sick, love to see this, love that we got an order of these things, like, thank you. And I got a lot of people that were like, don't you dare pat them on the back for the bare minimum. This is the stuff they should have been doing for years, and you're just setting a bar low for them, and they're going to be able to do anything and get your praise. And on some level, I see the nugget in what those people are trying to say, but I just have a really hard time not being the guy that's like, I wanted a thing to be better, and it's getting better. I'm not saying that I put my life in their hands. I'm saying I wanted it to be better, and I'm getting exactly what I want. And I'm just tweeting about it, right? Like, it's not that big of a deal.
No, dude, what the people are saying about what you've been saying is they're taking the most unreasonable interpretation of your words.
Yeah.
There is somebody who could think this way. That person would say that thing, and then they assume that that's you without realizing that there's a million people coming from a million different perspectives that would say that would say this is good or this is bad or whatever, so it's just they're projecting, which is part of the reason why both you and I do something that both you and I should do less. But it's unfortunate that we kind of can't do less, which is having to fucking caveat everything all the time.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because, spoiler alert, I'm sorry to break it to you, most people are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And they don't fucking listen, and they don't use their heads, and they're not critical thinkers.
Yeah.
So if you don't say the stupid, obvious shit, like it's to all the people that say, you don't have to caveat these things, dude, all this stuff, they don't realize they're not smart enough to see that not everybody is smart enough to understand all of the undertones to so many of the things. I'm just going to say it. It's fucking frustrating.
I kind of had a moment the other day, dude. I checked the comments on the podcast, and somebody specifically was like, bro, Jesse caveats every single thing he says with a million things. Like, dude, just get to your point. And I had this moment where I was like, man, like, I caveat what I say so as to avoid arriving here at the comment section and having somebody tell me what I said was wrong or tell me how to speak.
And it never worked fully.
And the caveats that prevent that from happening arrived this guy at the comment section typing out a comment of how I should speak. And I had this moment where I was like, what do I, like, you just like, you can't, you just, it is an impossible thing. Like, I am just,
dude, I had a little mini breakthrough. I don't want to say breakthrough, but it was like a perspective shift that I need to spend some more time thinking about during my last therapy session last Saturday. And I was actually talking about some of the things adjacent to this stuff, talking a little bit about what we had talked about with that whole cheater thing.
Yeah.
Basically me having troubles saying like I have these good intentions, and there's these ethical struggles about not knowing what's the right thing.
Yeah.
And my therapist basically asked me the question. I'm not going to be able to put into words exactly what she said, but basically it was along the lines of, think about all the people in history that have had to make the decisions. Like, do we drop the bomb on Japan? Do we like, how did all of these people make the decisions where it's like, we have to send people into Normandy?
Yeah.
They know that millions of people, are going to just die, but you have to zoom out and not look at the individual things, and like, I need to think more about that perspective, because I think there's some significance there about, she's like, people who are great and people who make a difference, like, you kind of can't possibly succeed when you're zoomed in on the micro. When I'm focused on the one comment or the one person in chat or the one issue that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
When I'm focused on the minority who are going to, misinterpret something. I don't know, dude. There's something more to that. I really want to dwell on.
That's an interesting. That's a much more nuanced perspective on that subject than just like someone in chat being like, just ignore the trolls. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more to that.
Yeah, just ignore the trolls is the most
it.
pointless, trolly way of just copy pasting like a cliche. It's useless and it's annoying.
Yeah.
Because it fundamentally misunderstands so much context and perspective, and at the same time assumes so much.
Yes. Yeah.
When someone says something that frustrates you, and then you point it out and they say, don't listen to the trolls.
Yeah.
They assume that other person is trolling rather than being ignorant.
Yeah.
Rather than you having a bad day. Rather than, like, there's so many pieces there.
And they're assuming that it doesn't personally offend you. Like, like I feel like I have the right to defend myself if somebody makes a wild accusation of me, and you being like, just don't feed the trolls, bro. It's like, ignores the fact that, like, I'm a human too with feelings, and like, that guy just made something up about me. And if I just gloss over it, some of you might think it's true, and I don't want some of it. You know what I mean? It's like, there's a complete ignoring of that fact of like you or I's feeling or perspective on the thing.
Yeah, you might as well tell someone who's like an abuse victim, like, just leave them.
Yeah.
Like way to be like, quote unquote, right, while being a completely ignorant, callous douchebag at the same time.
Yeah, that's like
not helping.
That feels like it is. It's like, I can be right. I can I can make this argument and know that you could never argue against me. Because if you're like, that's not it, we'd be like, well, I'm just trying to, like, you can kind of, it's just like a free escape. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And those are the people that are going to be like, they're going to hear what I said about like this whole thing. Don't focus on the micro. They're like, dude, we've been telling you that for years now.
Don't feed the troll.
Yeah. You've been doing a really bad job, because if you've been trying to communicate something and you've done it a million times and you haven't gotten it across, and then someone words something differently and they get it across better, I don't know. Sounds like, could be a skill issue, like
skill issue. Bro, 2 separate times this week, I have been either accused. Well, one time I was accused, but then one time I was asked if I am paid by Battlestate Games. And it's weird because, like,
ironically,
somebody today in chat, they like, it's hard to tell if they were trolling or if they were like innocent AF, like, you know what I mean? But he was like, hey, I was just wondering, like, do you have like a certain amount of like hours that you have to stream Escape from Tarkov and like talk about the game? And I was like, no. And then and then another person was like, came in and was being super snarky, and I was just like being like, stop being such a dick. And he was like, yeah, whatever, we just know that you're a paid shill for the game. And those are the situations where it's like, responding to that is such a lose-lose. You know what I mean? Because like it's like the playground arguments where they just try to elicit a reaction, because any reaction can then be manipulated and put in the box of, you reacted to that statement, so it must be true. If I'm like, no, I'm not, they're like, getting a little sensitive. But if I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. They're like, you didn't deny it. You know, it's the whole, does your mom know you're gay? You can't get out of it. You know what I mean? Like,
but then on the flip side, there's also the, oh, he's not answering. He's ignoring it. Oh,
exactly.
So it's like, the problem is not how you respond. It's that people are fucking stupid douchebags.
They can take any response and fill it into their perception of the world. It's the same thing with cheating. Like, I got into an argument, a funny argument, because I knew it was funny. He didn't realize it was a funny argument. I realized it was, about how like almost all streamers cheat. Like, this is a well-known thing. Like, almost all the streamers cheat. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
how else would anybody watch us?
And it's like, and I remember talking to Ammunition about it, and it's like, if you look at the world through the lens of what I believe is right, and anybody that believes anything else is part of the conspiracy to cover up the fact that I'm right or whatever, or like it's just, you can't, you are an unchangeable thing. You're cemented to the ground. You'll never change, right? Because everyone's just part of the conspiracy at that point. And so if you believe that all streamers are cheating, well, the reality is, if you believe all streamers are cheating and believe that nothing can be said or done to prove that they're not, you're the idiot for bringing it up. Because, like, what do you want, right? Like, and that's what I told him. Like, I was like,
they want to sit on the corner of the street,
and
with signs that they hand scribbled, saying the moon landing was fake, and they want everybody to not think they're crazy.
Exactly.
And they want them to take them seriously.
And when those people come up, all I want out of the conversation is basically to force them into a position where they have to admit that. Because that's when they never admit it, but that's when they shut up.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, what do you want out of this? Like, what can I say that convinces you? It's nothing, right? If I say this, you're going to say this. Like you're convinced. I think you're dumb, but you're convinced. So what do you want? Then they never say anything, because the only way to answer that question is, I just want to complain. I just want attention. Yep. I just want people to, you know what I mean? I want to recruit people to my cause. None of those things look good, so they shut up. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's weird. But I just found it to be so interesting that I don't get those accusations too frequently, at least not to my face. Lots on like Twitter and in YouTube comments and stuff like that. But in Twitch chat live, I don't get those accusations to it. So I found it so funny that twice in the last week, when I'm at my lowest point ever with Escape from Tarkov, you know what I mean? Like, we're like bashing it out on the podcast. I'm mauling all day on stream about the game, and somebody's like, I think you're a paid shill. I'm like, dude, what?
See, the thing is that, I mean, it could very well be that those are the people that just go around all the streams and do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And nobody's streaming Tarkov anymore.
Yeah, so they got to me faster.
You're just more likely to get to any individual person. It's the same thing. Like, somebody came in yesterday and was like, wow, dude, you burnt out on Tarkov? I'm like, the fact that I'm not playing Tarkov is an indication that I'm burnt out. But then you also see Deadly Slaw, blah, 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 all these different names that are also not playing Tarkov. They're not burnt out. I'm sure it's not an indication. Like, what's the common denominator?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it could be an indication that Tarkov is in a bad place.
And if I was on Tarkov,
or it could be a combination of all of those things.
Bro, stop malding, go play another game. Take a break.
Or you're only doing it because you're a paid shill, or, blah, blah, blah. It's almost like, playing video games for a living isn't the easiest thing on planet Earth. It's not that it's not easy compared to a lot of things, but, it's almost like
easy in function, but extremely stressful and hard in like mental and stuff like that. Like, it's funny because, like, easy is such an interesting word. What I do is easy in the term of, like, I'm just playing a game. You play a game for fun. I play a game. I'm chatting and I'm doing
manual labor,
but it's easy. But easy does not describe the difficulty of becoming successful at this, right? Because there's, what are the numbers? I forget. There's like 13 million people that stream on Twitch at least once a week or something like that. It's like, how many of them are supporting their families with that income, right? Statistically, that would mean it's not very easy. So it's like, it's such a hard thing to convince people, because like right now in this moment, I am playing video games and talking to my friends. That's a relatively easy thing to do. But you could make an argument that, like, LeBron James is playing basketball. When he's on the court, he's playing the same game you play. So just go through whatever mental hoops you need to figure out why LeBron James is LeBron James and you're not LeBron James when you're on the court, and then apply some of that logic to, I'm not LeBron James of Tarkov, but you know, I'm on the bench. You know, I'm on the team at least. You know what I mean? You're not.
You're playing a game.
Yeah.
For a living, right?
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing. I mean, yeah, and I've never in my 34 years, I had to think for a minute. In my 34 years, other than, you know, like maybe when the year I was 15, which was, you know, just like 8th to 9th grade is just a particularly, you know, challenging for, I think, some folks. I'd never struggled with mental health stuff, never struggled with depression, and I've been through some shit, you know, until the last few years of streaming. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, and I, you know, degrees and 10 years of working, you know, 15 years of working, a number of jobs all over the place. This is the hardest, most challenging thing.
I never struggled with anxiety before this. Like I mean,
same.
Yeah, just did you watch the show Beef? It's a show on Netflix. It's a brand new show. It came out a few weeks ago. It's really interesting. A lot of people are classifying the genre of the show as millennial rage. It's it was really good. It was really well acted. It was really good. And there's a lot to get into, but the theme of the show, not what it's about, but the theme of the show is basically the just like ever present weight and dread that lives in some of the younger generations, and the way they spoke about it and manifested it and visualized it at parts in that show, I found like really like, you know, like something like when you're watching Everything Everywhere All at Once and you're like, oh, why does that make me feel so uncomfortable? Because I just like, and I had never felt that before. I was such a carefree. We talked a little bit before about like, before I was like streaming, we were like so poor, and it's like I'm more anxious now than when I was much poorer than this. And some of that is like just due to what what I do, but it's also like now that you've like, once you've gone through a hard season and you're out of that season, there's like an ever present fear of returning. So in a weird way, I found myself so much more anxious than when there were times in my life where I felt like there was nowhere to go, there was no hope. But I'm more anxious now. Yeah, exactly. At the time, it doesn't feel like that, but then you're higher and you're like, and so never before streaming and like doing this and like being the boss of the whole operation that I do, like I've like legitimately struggled with like anxiety and like needing to like go be outside. Like that's like it's like a decision why like we're like hey babe, I gotta go outside a little bit, like we gotta go for a walk or something, you know what I mean? Like I've never struggled with any of that before. It's
dude, it hit me the other day when I actually went, one of my best friends, he's like in my wedding and everything, his wife is like one of my wife's best friends. And we always get together as couples. Unfortunately her father passed away of cancer, and so we went to the services, you know, to support them. And I just remember like walking back to my car afterwards and just being like why is taking a deep breath of fresh air on a beautiful, you know, 68 degree, like why does this feel so fucking alien? And like,
it's so good.
It's good, but it's also like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it used to be like nice to go down the street and like grab an iced coffee, you know, like once a day, just go grab an iced coffee, you know?
Yep.
And now it's like, I'll sit and I'll think like, you know, just, I have a box of Red Bull. I'll just grab a Red Bull or whatever. Like, and it's like, why the fuck? There's something about this whole content creation thing or whatever that's like the 7 minutes it takes me to get some fresh air, and but I can start my stream now.
Yeah. Or I can edit this, or I can finish this thumbnail. It'll only take me a few more minutes. Like, dude, I did the same thing. My wife asked me to take the trash out, and she'd already taken the trash out to the curb, but I had the bag in the house. She was like, "Can you take it out?" And like 10 minutes later, I come in the house and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I threw it in, and then I walked up into our driveway and I just looked out, and the sun was setting and it felt nice outside. And I was just like, and I didn't do anything. I just stood there outside looking at our neighborhood. And I was like, whoa, life, you know? And she was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "I haven't been outside in like 2 weeks, dude." Like,
man, between getting deep into content creation in the last couple of years and COVID, that right there is like, I think, going to have lasting impacts on so many people.
yeah.
It's a weird, fucked up combination of things that, yeah, like I'm gonna say this knowing that, like, I'm sure there's someone I'm gonna be insensitive to somehow, but to me, like, the pandemic's over.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was at the hospital and nobody was wearing masks at the hospital. You know, like, it's functionally over.
Yeah.
And yet it still feels like the world is different now.
For sure.
And I'm different now. And it's
For
fucking,
sure.
and it's like, some of it is hitting that like 30-something-year-old mark. Some of it is, but then there's that plus the pandemic, plus all of the shit, man. It's been rough.
Yeah.
And actually, that reminds me too. There was so many fucking comments on the last video, people saying just nice things about like me dealing with my grandmother and all that stuff. So I have to say, I wanted to open the fucking podcast with that, but I forgot because of all the technical shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge thanks to everybody. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Those are the moments, because I was reading through some of those too, and those are the moments where you're like when, like, we've talked a lot before about like in a neutral zone, we tend more negative, like society. Like in a neutral zone, the comments, if there's 1,000 comments on a video, most of them will be negative, right? Like, you know, you've got your true, like the true fans that are chill, that are super dope, but then like there's people that just always nitpick. But when there's a catalyst, like you bringing up that like hard thing, it flips that. And like so many of the people in the neutral zone then come out to be like, "Dude, I'm sorry. Like, that sucks."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like you go through that and you're like, holy cow, you're like just reminded, like, you guys are sick. Like, you guys are awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I was thinking through that too. And I was like, damn.
And it's unfortunate. I mean, it's the same way in like real life.
For
where,
sure.
You know, like when somebody who was like loved in a community, you know, maybe dies young or something, and it's like thousands of people show up to the service, you know, it's like,
Yep.
It's amazing, but at the same time, like, man, it sucks that that's what it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
For sure. I mean, it's the same thing when if you have great service at a restaurant, you're like, a lot of times you just think it. You're like, "Oh, that was good." You know what I mean? And it's like, man, we should say those positive things more, you know?
Oh man, that reminds me. I remember there's a restaurant that a really good Mexican restaurant that me and my wife always go to when we go to Sedona. And I remember last time we were there, the waitress, for some reason, she was just like stood out to us as being like just exceptional service. And we like made sure to like go on fucking Yelp and like review her, and even like asked to talk to her manager.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure at first was probably like, oh God, you know, and we, you know, like me and my wife, we try to do this as much as we can, where it was like, you need to know as her boss that she's special, and you know, like she made us. We're gonna come back here every time, and you know. And I remember that we did that, and then like 2 years later, we were recently. This was a couple months ago. We were back in Sedona, and she was dealing with the table like down the way, and we had a separate server, and they were saying like, "Oh, you were so nice. You've been so helpful." And I was like, "That's the same." Like I recognized her. That's the
awesome.
same woman. And we like flagged her down, and she like remembered that we were from fucking New Hampshire, like all this stuff, and
crazy.
It was like, damn, you know, like. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, more of that shit needs to happen. When people do, more people need to do good things just because of the good things, and then more people need to like thank people
for doing good things.
Yeah, and recognize and appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That was such a long tirade from what we were talking about, the roadmap, and then we were talking about how like people were telling me not to thank BSG, and like it started there and then we ended all the way there. I love it, dude. Like I love it. That's what the podcast is about, man. But ultimately Tarkov related, like the roadmap is here, and who the hell knows anything, right? Like we said, the red string is out in full force. Like I have the clip pulled up on my computer where like Nikita said in the podcast, he was like, we are simultaneously preparing 2 patches, one that's going to come out in the late April or early May, and then and then a big one in May. And so some people are like, oh, the late April, early May patch is 13.05 and the late May patch is Unity 2021, and they're going to follow up with the technical update, and then we're going to get 14.0 as the summer wipe. Some people are like, a lot of people are on this theory of like, this is going to be the wipe where they break the mold. We're not going to do a 6-month wipe. They're going to try and get all this like Unity stuff out and in this wipe, and then they're going to wipe with 14.0 in like September or October. Some people are like, there's no way 14.0 is coming out this year. Like, just get that out of your head. And everybody's got their own theory and their own dates and stuff like that. It's hard because once again, people are obviously just passionate about the game and they're excited about the game, and they try to connect the dots of what Nikita said. He said there's 2 patches. He said some of this stuff is basically ready. He said the streets patch. So we try to, connect the dots. I'm like full blown. I'm in the inner tube on the lazy river that is Escape from Tarkov, man. I obviously
whitewater rafting.
Yeah, the lazy river. Yeah, I obviously want this stuff as soon as possible, right? As a gamer, I'm so tired of wipes because I can't do these quests again. As a content creator, wipes are the best. They're the best. You know what I mean? So if we wipe in the summer, the thing is that like I get what I want relatively soon either way, right? Like the 2 theories are the 3 theories are we either get 13.0, 13.1, which is the technical update with all the network fixes. The 3 theories are we either get that really soon and then 14.0 in the summer. That's fine. We get that in the summer as our summer wipe, and then we get 14.0 way later. That's fine too, because all I want are the network fixes. Or this is a longer wipe and we still get it soon. So it's like, the big thing for me is that it's 13.1. Like you were saying earlier, Tarkov lives or dies by that patch. And so the fact that that's pretty early on in the roadmap, like once we get the Unity 2021 patch, that's soon after, I'm excited. I'm just excited for that. Other than that, there's been really no other Tarkov news. What's super surprising is that we haven't had another Chronicles of Rigi. They did that podcast. They launched episode 1 of Chronicles of Rigi. That led us into an in-game event. In the podcast, somebody sent me the clip the other day. I don't have it up, but I can pull it up. Where he was like, Chronicles of Rigi, Arena, Escape from Tarkov, all the stuff that's planned, it's all linked. And then we didn't get episode 2. With the first season, we got like a new episode every weekend. Like, and it's been like
Arena's nowhere on that roadmap too. I wonder if
Arena's nowhere on the roadmap.
You think they punted on it?
No, I think that I legitimately think that they just view them as separate entities. Like, I think that they could probably ship us a roadmap for that. Like, this is just like for Tarkov. Like, this is the Escape from Tarkov roadmap. Like, this is how they're fixing that game. I'm not saying that means I think Arena's coming, right around the corner. He literally said in the podcast, he was like, be on the lookout over the next 6 to 8 months for more information on the Arena. You know what I mean? So I don't think but yeah, so like, I'm interested that we haven't gotten another Chronicles of Rigi, not because I'm like dying to see what happens to Rigi, but because he's made it clear that they want to connect all those things, events and wipes and the Chronicles of Rigi and Arena, because Chronicles of Rigi is all about the Arena. He's made it clear they want to connect them. So if we're building up to something, it's weird that it's been so long since we've gotten an episode, especially because they made such a big deal about the new season, like season 2, episode 1, and then we haven't gotten. I think we got season 2, episode 2, but we haven't got season 2, episode 3. I don't remember. Whatever. Nothing else really happening. The only other funny thing was You know there's a new bug that I found out about today. You know the little canted thermal that nobody uses ever. There's a bug. Well, it's not explicitly a canted thermal, but it's just it's the little mini thermal that you can't.
You can't.
There's a bug with that that I'm trying to find a clip of it so I can send you a screenshot. Okay, so it's like Photoshop layers. All right.
Oh no.
Okay. Here's the screenshot. Look at that screenshot. It's like the layer that is the thermal is above everything else. So you can put it on a canted site, but you can see it no matter what.
So it's on the right side of the scope, right? So if the weapon's just shouldered just normally, not even shouldered, right? And have a voodoo, the voodoo normally would be totally blocking it, but you see a little purple triangle, a rectangle that is the screen just sitting on top of the fucking scope, and it just floats there, presumably
Yeah.
Oh.
And it works. So you can see thermal signatures on it.
Of course you can.
Yeah. So it dude, it's so scuffed. It's so I hope Jesse sent that in JFIF. It's so scuffed. So that was a funny thing. And then yeah, it's been Tarkov's just been weird. I find myself farming money a lot because the game is so much more fun when you don't run into anybody else. I did an entire stream. The first day I went out and finally used the little wangle dangle and went out onto the lighthouse with the thing where and I can do it. I spent the whole night doing that and I didn't kill Veritas. I did a whole stream, a 5-hour stream. I didn't not only kill a PMC, I didn't kill a scav. I didn't kill anything for 5 hours and it was fun.
You just farmed shit and it was fun.
I was exploring the lighthouse, saying hey to Zarachi. I was talking to the lightkeeper. I was getting my first quest from him. I was making a bunch of money. I was exploring all the places, getting the keys for it. It's that wouldn't be fun to do forever. But for those 5 hours, I was
that's like No Man's Sky. All I was doing was
nice.
just doing a little bit of mining and some building and some exploring and some flying around.
And then today we did it. I did 3 raids of straights, and I was in the raids for really long times, and I didn't see anybody. I didn't see a single PMC. I killed a bunch of scavs, but I didn't see any PMCs. And then Airwing hopped on, and me and Airwing ran the lighthouse for 3 hours. So it was another 5 hours of not seeing anybody. And then we hopped back to straights, and it was just immediately spawn, die to 2 shots of Val SP6, even though I have a Gen 4 full on, spawn, die behind a wall, spawn, and it was just oh god. So it's been something.
1 week since you looked at me.
Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the Tarkov news. We didn't crash once, Veritas.
It has to be Discord, bro. It has to be something about the Discord call.
Or the window projector thing.
Well, no, I have the window projector, the same thing. That's how I'm sharing my screen to you now.
Oh.
The only difference is that there's the Discord call, and there's that I'm screen sharing the Discord call. Honestly, what I might do is I might just find somebody, maybe one of my mods or something, and next time I stream No Man's Sky, I'm gonna say I'm just gonna make a call. Let's make a call, and I'm just gonna mute it, and then see if it crashes. And if it doesn't after a while, then I'm gonna screen share and then see if all of a sudden it crashes.
Yeah, do it that way. Do just an audio call, let that ride for a few hours, then do a video.
Because the crash that I get real quick is help crash reports. Show crash reports. It's the same stack trace every time, too. It says thread, whatever, RTMP-stream send thread. Crashed. RTMP stream. I mean, like, I know, like, what that is. Like, I know what those individual things all mean.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to probably know a little bit more about how OBS works under the covers, but
yeah.
I don't know, man. It's the same exact, and that's the best thing. It's like, if I could just get a human from OBS, you know, the free fucking open source software, so it's like not like they've got customer service lines or whatever.
I wonder if
I have an issue where it's an identical crash trace every time, and it's very reproducible. But I can't. I don't have it in me to be like, I'm a fucking noteworthy content creator. Like, all of these kids who are like streaming to 0 viewers that are like, oh my God, help me with the thing. And everybody needs to help me right now. Please, oh God, I'm trying to do this stupid thing and it's irrelevant. And I'm like, I can't do my job, you know, like, fucking help me.
I wonder if you could like try. Well, I definitely think that you're on the right track with like, try to now like slowly reintroduce Discord and see if you can get it, because if you do several hours of a call and it's chill and then you start the video up and if it crashes within the first 5 minutes, now we like know it doesn't, we don't know if it's Discord's fault or OBS's fault, but we at least know at the point at which failure is going to happen. And it was interesting because somebody said disable hardware acceleration and you said it was already done. You can disable hardware acceleration for the video streams in Discord settings. Like, I wonder if that would be something to try.
I'm pretty sure I did that. And I disabled the hardware acceleration in OBS for browser sources, which I thought might have also been related to the whole activity feed chat. Yeah, so I've just
weird, dude.
Turned it all off.
Well, at least for tonight, we didn't crash. We got through a whole 2 hours. Everything worked fine. Thank you guys, as always, for coming out, for listening, for checking out the YouTube video, for commenting, for listening to the podcast. It's awesome. We're super excited about it. This will be live on Monday, like normal. Pretty much guarantee huge Tarkov news tomorrow, because that's just how they roll. And then I will pin a comment saying that this was recorded before that, just like I do every week. But thank you guys for hanging. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.